First of all, I want to sincerely appreciate the Pastor Chris and the leadership for this. Do not take it for granted. Okay, so let's go straight to the slide. We're going to be teaching on unleashing your creative power, turning ideas into innovation. Are we ready? So, how many of you probably had an idea that you did not act upon? Let me see your hand up. Anybody? If you've had an idea that you didn't act upon, let me see your hand. Okay, cool. Then how many of us, you've had an idea that you didn't act upon, and maybe after a while, you saw that same idea being acted upon by somebody else? Let me see your hand. And then there's this pain, this is my idea. Maybe that will become the next Bill Gates now. I mean, mess up. All right. So we're going to be seeing reasons why that is so. Okay. So in this lecture, we're going to be looking at two companies. I'm going to be using two businesses to explain my topic, creativity, innovation. Two major companies. Number one is MoneyPoint. How many of us know MoneyPoint? Of course, seeing their POS everywhere, you understand what MoneyPoint is. Then this particular brand that we just watched now, which is Cotonou Abalumo. That's, if you check them on Instagram, they have over 60,000 followers. Delivered to Lagos, US, UK. In fact, what some of us might not think is possible, right, is what they are doing, and they are making good money from it. So, moving over to the next slide. So let's see something very quickly, the power of creativity. Now, why is this important? I wrote something here. I said, creativity isn't just for artists. How many of us have heard the word creatives before? Right? Somebody that, social media content creators and all, they like to call themselves creatives. Now, but it's not just for those set of people. It's for everyone. So whether you want to start a business, you want to build a career, or solve everyday problems, creativity is for you. Right? I like the way Imam put it. He said creativity is a muscle everyone can develop. It's about solving problems in new ways. Now let's have the next slide. So we've heard about creativity, we've heard about innovation. So let's understand what the difference is, because it's not the same. Like I asked before, how many of us have had an idea that you didn't act upon? A lot of us raised up our hands. And some of us also raised up our hand when I said, how many of you had an idea, someone else acted upon it before you, and you were sad that you did not become the next billionaire because you did not act on that idea. So let's see the difference between creativity and innovation. There's actually a difference. So creativity is generating new and what? Can we see the screen? Creating new and what? Valuable ideas. I need feedback, please. Then innovation is doing what? Real solutions or businesses. So one thing to have an idea, right? And it's another thing for you to act on that idea and make something out of it. So let's say, for instance, you had an idea that you want to build an application for KKYF, for instance, that will help every KKYF member get registered through the application for KKYF. And maybe you're just thinking about it randomly and you figured out, oh, this is something that would be nice to have, and you thought about it. What makes you innovative is the ability for you to take that from the idea phase and turn it into an app, right? Develop the app for it to work perfectly. So we can see that not everybody is innovative, but almost everybody is creative. It's not really difficult to come up with ideas, right? In fact, the easiest way for you to come up with an idea, a lot of us, is when we are in the bedroom, when we are in the toilet, the white room, that the idea comes and it hits you. How many of us have been in that situation before? When you are in that, that spot, you just be getting, it's as if, I don't know what happens in that part of the room, right? There's just something special about that place. Ideas, it flows endlessly, right? And I put something down here. Romans 4:17 says, call for things that be in the right, the big part, as though they were. So it's actually scriptural for every one of us here. We have the ability to be creative and also to be innovative. But it's not enough to call things forth, right? In mind. We're talking about now turning that thought you have to real product and solutions. Next slide. All right. So to talk about now is how to develop creativity. For some of us that probably we find it difficult to generate ideas, or maybe it just stops at thinking about something that would be nice to have. I'm sure a lot of us, maybe not a lot of us, I'm sure one or two persons here might have had the same idea about Facebook years ago before Mark Zuckerberg built it. It's very possible. Some of us might have had the same idea of Uber, Bolt, right? Before it even came into existence. But what is the difference between you and that person that started it? It's action, right? And one thing that happens in business is that it's about first come, first serve. So once a particular solution has already been built, no matter, even if it's still an idea in your head and somebody has already done it, automatically that person has more competition than you, right? Has more advantage than you in the market. So let's look at how to develop creativity. The first thing I wrote down here is yes, ask what if. Now, I talked about two companies, Money Points, right? And Kotuna Abalumo. Let me give you a background of Money Points. So if you study the history of Money Points and how they started, of course, if for some of us that follow the news, you would know that Money Points recently gained a unicorn status. What does a unicorn status mean? They crossed the $1 billion valuation just last year, 2024, a Nigerian company. So what that means is that the valuation of Money Points now is $1 billion. You might ask, how does this matter? What does it really mean for you? Money Point, the CEO of Money Point said something that 2 out of every 3 Nigerians, in one way or the other, you've interacted with their product in a month. Many of us here use POS now, almost every week, and most of the POS around is Money Point. Some of us have their application too. So whenever you open up Money Point app and you're making transfer, they're earning money, right? So what actually got them that status? I did a brief study and I found out that what gave them that elevation in the market was the ability for them to ask the question, what if I could help small businesses and enhance their transaction and their financial payments? Prior to that time, MoneyPoint started as a company that builds bank applications. So for instance, your UBA bank app, your Zenith bank app, some of other commercial banks. MoneyPoint was a team called Team Apt at the time. So they were responsible for building bank applications. So they were not even doing this POS business, or they didn't have a mobile app for themselves initially. So what now happened? That was precisely March 2023. When all of us were complaining of cashless policy, you know, where there was no cash now, and people were, there was what is it called? People were rioting everywhere. There was serious outbursts. There was anger. So while you were complaining of a problem, somebody else was thinking of how to make money from that problem. So what did they do? They figured out that, at that time, what Nigerians really need are easy ways to make payments and accept payments too. And then that's how they came about the idea of their POS. And in 2024, just here, they crossed the $1 billion valuation. So one way for you to develop your creativity, ask the question, what if? Sometimes sit down and ask yourself, what if I do this thing? What if I could solve this problem? For some of us that are in KKYF, in fact, anywhere you see people, Pastor Chris always tell us, anywhere you see people, there is money. And the idea is that there are problems to solve. And anywhere there is problem to solve, there's an opportunity. So ask the question, what if? Sometimes just sit down and think about problems. You know, some of us might find it difficult. Why would I just be thinking about problems? Yes, think about problems. Don't be the person that is complaining Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is bad. What are you doing to solve it? Right? What if? Then the next thing, I titled it lateral thinking. Now, lateral thinking simply means combining unrelated tasks. I'll give another example of a business. Now, there's a business called Farmatrix. What do? Very simple solution. How many of us know how, farmers make produce? They go to farm, they get their, rice, beans, and then they have to now travel to cities to go and sell those products. So what Farmatrix simply did is that they built an application that connects farmers to buyers. As simple as that. So a farmer just needs to sign up on the application, and a buyer needs to sign up on the application. The AI on the app connects the farmer to the closest buyer of the products that they want to sell. And that's how they are making their money. So lateral thinking, what do they do? On a normal day, there's nothing relating farming and AI. Does not make any sense. But now lateral thinking, what lateral thinking does is, in that your small business that you are running, in that company that you are trying to build, try to figure out how you can use current solutions and current technologies to advance your business. Another example of this is Cotonou Abalumo, like we saw. What they used was social media. In fact, Instagram. Some of us can go on you can go on Instagram, check out their page, right? Cotonou Abalumo is a very interesting business that I started studying sometime when I found out about it sometime last year. And I figured out that, okay, to even account for the times where, because many of us know that Udara, normally, it has season, right? So what they now did to account for the time where Udara is not in season, for them to continue making money, they added products like kilishi, added products like smoked fish, and added products like peppered goats, dried goat's meat. Now they send those products to people in US, UK, Canada. And the business model is such that the risk is very minimal. Why? You have to pre-order. So they use your money to pay for transportation and also deliver the product to you at no cost from their own end. It's a very, very crazy idea. And for somebody here, you might be thinking that, oh, I'm selling meat pie. Not be meat pie, they say. How would I use meat pie to make millions? Lateral thinking. Figure out creative ways you can sell what you are selling. I was speaking to somebody that delivers meat pie to bank of recent. And I gave the person one simple idea. It's not my business, but I just gave one simple idea. Okay, this is what you do. Get the bank logo. Do a branded nylon for the bank logo. Each bank you are delivering to, if it's GT Bank, for instance, get the logo, print the logo on a wrapper, put the meat pie inside the logo, inside the wrapper, deliver to GT Bank with GT Bank logo, deliver to Echo Bank with Echo Bank logo. The person did that, and the first week, what the customers there thought that the bank hired her to deliver to all the employees. They thought that the bank was the one paying for all those meat pie. And it was a very simple thing. She spoke with the manager, had one-on-one meeting with the manager, had an agreement. Okay, the manager, it was a business transaction, of course. Imagine I said that, okay, for every delivery, he will have his own cut. You understand? Very simple. I make money, you make money. Everybody is happy. Win-win situation. So creativity is very important in your business, in your workplace, in whatever it is you are doing. Don't just be that person that does things the way every other person is doing it. And the third way to also develop your creativity is for you to keep learning. Now, Money Point would have not been able to discover that gap in the market if they were not sensitive, if they were not learning, if they were not researching. Right? Like I said, a lot of us were complaining of cashless policy. But one man on one side was seeing a business opportunity. Right? So keep learning, study books, take courses, right? If you are here, right, and you are running a business, whatever business it is, whether it's physical business or you are rendering services online, where you are today shouldn't be the same place you are, like in the next 1 month, next 2 months. Can somebody look at your business and figure out, okay, something has really changed? Even though you are offering the same service, figure out a way for you to upgrade your service. Let me give another practical instance. Let's say you offer services like graphics design, right? I don't know why I like using graphic design a lot. You offer services like graphics design. You shouldn't just be that graphics designer that designs flyers and logos for just anybody, right? I wouldn't have so much time to go into niching down and all, right? But read books, listen to podcasts. Next slide. Now let's look at how to be innovative. We talked about creativity, right? Now let's look at how, there's a difference between creativity and innovation, right? We know the difference now. Creativity is what? Generating ideas. Innovation is what? Turning that ideas into real solutions. So, number one, fail fast. Some people say, I don't like failing. Now, Elon Musk, somebody who I admire so much, he made a statement one day. He said one of the ways he was able to build multiple companies at the same time was that he was not afraid of failing. In fact, it's better for you at this stage of your life. You learn something, you build something, you fail, and fail fast. Now, there is something called the law of iteration. What that means is that if you want to build a product or you want to start up a business, for instance, and maybe in the first few weeks or first 1 month or first 2 months, it seems like things are not really working well for you. What you should be looking out for is, whilst things are not really working well, what are those things that I'm doing that is not making this business move forward? So in the process of failing, there is a lesson to learn. So it's important to fail now and fail fast. Because if you don't fail fast, if you fail at the point where you've already grown, the fall will be very large. Now, a man puts it this way: he who is already on the ground fears no fall. So if you are already on the ground, there's nothing for you to be afraid of. Fail fast. The next one talks about being resourceful. Technology has made it easy these days. You can start any company or any business you want with a personal assistant. AI is there, ChatGPT is there. In fact, of recent, there was a company I was working with that I don't work with them directly, but on a consulting basis. There was an idea I gave them that, if you check real, it was not my idea from the scratch. I collaborated with, you understand, with AI and generated the idea, but of course I still generated the idea because I was the one that gave the AI the instruction. So being resourceful is very key. If you are here, you are not using AI, I don't know what to tell you, Sha, but it's useful. Very, very useful. In fact, it should be your partner in thinking. If you want to think about something, it should be a personal assistant in thinking on how to get better. The next one talks about collaborate and network. You can't always do it on your own. If you want to start a company here, look for a co-founder. Look for someone who has an area where you're not good at. Let's say you want to start a tech, you want to build an application, right? And you don't know how to build an application, but you have the idea. Look for somebody who knows how to code, who knows how to build the application. Collaborate together. Start the company. That was how CEO of MoneyPoint started. Tosin and Felix. Tosin was the guy who knew how to code and build the application, while Felix was the marketing person. He understood business. So they came together, built a solution. In fact, they resigned from a popular company called InterSwitch. Together, he was able to convince him to resign from the company. Somebody that believes in his vision. So, is there somebody around you that can believe in your idea? That is the question you should ask yourself. If you have friends that the only thing that they do is just when you have gist, regular gist, there's a problem somewhere. If you don't have friends you can share ideas with and they can believe in your idea and join you to build that product or business, then you should check very well. Right? Next slide. I'll end with this. Next slide. All right. Yes, the former one, please. Overcoming fear. For some of us, maybe fear can be a problem, right? It's understandable. Like I already explained, see failure, right, as feedback. Then if you have limited resources, when I tell people sometimes that I started building online by doing night sub, many of them don't believe it. Night plan, 25 naira for 500 MB. At that time, it was 25 naira for 500 MB, but now it's 15 naira for 500 MB, right? I started building then. And it's crazy because it took me time, but at the same time, I utilized what I had at the time. Start small, bootstrap. What it means to bootstrap is very simple. Find creative funding solutions. If I already explained, if you're looking for money for your business, personally you don't have the money. Partner with people that have the money. Me, for instance, now, I'm looking for businesses I want to put money, but I will not just put money in any business like that, right? It has to be a business that is thriving and that can give me return in the end. So figure out people who have the money, but they don't have the time to build the business. Sell your idea, pitch your business to them. Then the last slide, conclude. I'll conclude with this. Think big. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower, Steve Jobs. Think big, start small, be consistent. Creativity is a muscle. Keep using it. Thank you very much.